Aloha, this is Gayle with BERNINA of Naperville, and welcome to our Lesson 6 Twilight Garden. Now, I am on vacation, but I promise you, we've got a really important lesson, and I've broken it up into two parts. One's going to be public, one's going to be private, and well, let's go ahead and break these things down for you so we can get right to business, okay? Like every Twilight Garden lesson that we've done so far, this is a combination of a program that Bernina of America has put together that lives on their Bernina Skill Hub site. And then me with our store, Bernina of Naperville, I kind of put some things together to either kind of show you how I found maybe an easier way to do it, a different way to do it, or I explain things a little bit more. So some of those things I'm going to be doing for you in a private link this month, and then others you're watching right now. And thank you very much for tuning in. So what can you expect from lesson 6? Well, first I want you to watch the Bernina Skill Hub content. Kate Green, Bernina Embroidery Specialist, is going to take you through the steps to create applique using your Bernina 990s embroidery module. So it's important to watch that content. Then I'm going to explain the CutWork tool and compare the Bernina version to the Burnett version, and also show alternative CutWork tool techniques for cutting out your shapes. I'm also going to show you how to ungroup and change the stitch orders and adding basting stitches in the embroidery, which is a little bit different than what Kate does. And then I'm going to show you how to use the large magnet hoop and accurately trim up your blocks. So those things, that Bernina of Naperville content, you're going to click right here, and that's going to take you to that video. And I'll have like a little, link and a little video camera here so you'll know where to click. Then, just so you know, lesson 6 on the Bernina Skill Hub is broken down into two parts. There's the part on the CutWork tool, and then there is the part where you're appliquing your pre-cut pieces. So the blocks for the large quilt. So for those of you doing the large quilt, that means that you've gotten our first kit, which is your Twilight Garden kit, but you've also supersized it with your expansion kit. So you're going to be making blocks 4, 8, 14, 29, 33, 37, and 39. And you can mix up the colors any way that you want, because this is your quilt. Maybe the colorways that we picked or whatever, or where we're placing some of our fabric doesn't jibe with you, and that's totally fine. And you're going to be using blocks created in lesson 2 to complete your assignment this month. Now, if you're making the small quilt, you're only going to be making blocks 14, 33, and 37. And so you can see them right there. Okay. And now there is a little bit of cutting. I'm not going to go through it with you, but I broke it down. It's the same as the Bernina instructions, but I'm kind of breaking it down so that you can see which fabrics you're using if you're doing different colorways, and then also trying to group all of the things that you're cutting. So it just makes a little bit better sense to my brain. And then there is going to be a little bit of prep, and we'll get there in our private content, so don't worry about that. Let's get to what I want to show you today. So the Bernina CutWork tool is pretty amazing, and it's a time saver. And by now you should have watched what Kate showed you in how to install the blade properly and all of that stuff. But what I really wanted to talk to you about is that there are two kinds of CutWork tools. There's also the Burnett CutWork tool. So what you see here on the top is obviously Kate's little hands and her little painted Twilight Garden fingers, right? But this is the case that the Bernina one comes in, and you get the little Allen wrench, and you get two blades, and you get the special 44C foot. Now, all Berninas need that 44C foot on your machine before it will allow you to use the CutWork tool. The same with your 990 using that straight stitch needle plate, because the 990 has the sensor, right? But the Burnett tool does not come with the 44C, but you can still use it on your Bernina because it's the exact same tool. It also comes with the extra blade, and it also comes with the little hexie that will change the blade for you. The difference is it doesn't have a case and it doesn't have the 44C. Now, why would I be explaining to you why you would want to use the Burnett one if the Bernina one is available? Because I can't tell you how many calls I get about I already have a 44C foot and now I would like to just buy the CutWork tool, and this is your option. So in this case, if you have the 44C foot, you can add this. The only thing is you don't get the case. I hope that clears things up. Okay, let's take a moment to talk about the real meat and potatoes of why I'm sitting down with you on my vacation. So I get a lot of questions about why does my needle threader not work? And you know what? Honestly, there can be so many reasons why your Bernina needle threader misses. And what I'm speaking of is the automatic needle threaders on the 7 Pro series and your 990. But honestly, the most common is that the threader is really fuzzy. And I swear it doesn't take long, ladies and gentlemen, for that little guy to get full of thread or fuzz rather. Another reason is the needle is not inserted all of the way into position. You have to really be careful that when you loosen that screw that you're really getting that needle in the highest position. Otherwise, that little wire just isn't aligned in the right spot. This one I haven't seen quite as much, but if your needle is too thin, I don't recommend using any needle any smaller than a 70 with the needle threader. Then there's a possibility that the needle threader isn't going to connect with it. And, and just keep some basic things. If you're using a really thick thread and you're using a really thin needle, then you know that you might be leading yourself down a path of destruction there. You know what I mean? Like if you have like a 12 weight thread and you're trying to put it through a 70 weight needle, you get what's happening, right? It's like trying to put a 10-pound bag of potatoes in a 5-pound sack. It's just not going to do it. All right. Another thing that I see when I'm teaching people how to use the needle threader for the first time is that they're just simply being too timid. Like you're very daintily trying to put everything through there. You're afraid you're going to break something. And what happens is you're not getting it through that little thread presenter. And I've got it pointed there with that red arrow. You got to really floss that and make sure that that thread is being held by the thread presenter. Now, finally, there are just some needle threaders out there that were born bad, and if you really have tried all of these things and you do not think that, if you think there's something wrong with your needle threader, then you should visit your local Bernina dealer, or the dealer, obviously, that you purchased your machine, and they can usually replace those. And sometimes it's warranty, but if it's gotten some damage or if you've been trying to squeeze 12 weight thread through a tiny needle, then it's not always covered. So your local dealer is your best resource when we're talking about things working or not working. Okay? So let's have a look over here and see how we are going to clean that threader. This might be an important scene for you. You go to thread your machine and oopsie daisies, it misses. Big sad, right? So if we go into our settings and then we go to our machine and maintenance, you'll see that there is a little section for cleaning the threader. And once you do that, you're going to follow all of the steps. That's removing the needle, that's removing the foot, doing all of those good things. And then we're going to press the needle threader button. And that kind of takes that threader down so that we can kind of see it. Now you can see I left my foot on in this case, but we're going to have a little look here at this. I press my button and now you can see, oh my gosh, look at all of that fuzz that's on there, right? That's embarrassing. But you know what? I worked it up for you just for this video, right? So I'm delicately using my tweezers to pull that animal from the needle threader. And I'm just very, very carefully, without bending anything, just pulling all of that fuzz out of there. I really can't believe that much fuzz can live in one of these needle threaders. And I do want to admit to you that I seriously thought there was something wrong with my needle threader for real. Like, I've done everything right. I cleaned it last week or last month or whatever, right? So this is about one lesson's worth of Twilight Garden fuzz on there, just so you know. So now I am delicately brushing some more fuzz off of there. And then, of course, you're gonna, while you're at it, get the dust off the needle bar and all of those things. And then you're also gonna clean the little thread presenter as well. Those little guys that hold the thread and present it through the needle. And yeah, so you can see I don't dust too hard there, but I did get a whopping mound of fuzz out of that needle threader. Let's see if I can pull it up here to show you. Oh dear, there it is. That's only half of it, honestly. So then once you clean everything up, we can go ahead and push that threader again so that it goes back into the machine. And then we're going to thread up our machine and test the needle threader, and voila, it works. Easy peasy. Okay, so we've skipped a lot of stuff here on purpose. Remember, that's in the exclusive content that you're getting because you've signed up for our Twilight Garden program. But now let's talk a little bit about how you're going to piece these blocks together once you have done all of the applique, the embellishing, trim and place applique, the whole bit. So before we start stitching, we normally would use our 1/4 inch foot to assemble our blocks because we're going to sew some of the units that we just created. But we have these satin stitch areas right here, and this creates quite a bit of a bump. So that means that when I try to use my 1/4 inch foot, it doesn't sit evenly and it keeps wanting to drift over here. So if we look at our number 38 piping foot, we'll see that it's uneven. One side is thinner than the other side. So this is going to be maybe a little strange for you, but let's take this unit here that we trim down to 6.5 inches by 12 inches. And then this gets paired with this piece here. So what we're going to do is we're going to put one piece on top of the other like this. And then our seam allowance, I know, bear with me here, is going to go over here on the left. We have plenty of space on our 990 with that 14 inches to the right of the needle. And then our foot will be easily able to glide right over that satin stitching without missing a beat. And then just to help you out here, when we look at our foot, the width of our foot here on the left side of our 38 foot is 1/4 of an inch. So no problem there. Side of the foot, boom, 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 stitching just like this. Let's give it a look. So I've got the foot on the machine, needles in the center position, and I'm using my straight stitch needle plate still. So now what I want to do is, like I told you, we're going to mosey our piece right over here. We're going to line up our fabrics together. And, if you like to pin, please pin. And now I'm going to lower this down right like this. And just like our 1/4 inch on our other side is that little tick right down the middle of the feed dogs, well, we have this just the same on the left side of the machine as well. So I'm going to advance. And if you want to back tack, that's fine. And just keep your pieces aligned as you go down this seam. Now we have one of our blocks. And we have another block that we're going to stitch together, and that's going to be with our eggplant, or in this case, our Cozumel applique. And this one gets paired with this piece, and we're going to sew this one together just the same. Ta-da, or ta-da, depending on how you want to arrange them, right? Then we have another one of our Cozumel pieces, and then that gets paired with this. And another one. And then even these guys are going to go together the same way because they have satin stitch that creates a little lump as well. So might as well do these in the same fashion. And then we do reserve one set of leaves and one applique like this to put aside for another time. Ta-da! So really easy. And the only other thing that I'm not showing you, but there's no reason to change it, is your giant leaf or the large leaf that you're going to do your trim and place applique with.
All right, well, that's all she wrote there. Mahalo, everyone, for watching, and thank you very much. So we'll see you for our next lesson, and who knows what it's going to be. I'm on vacation. I'm not even checking my email or anything. See ya.